Peace and blessings, everyone. It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boxing community. Before we go any further in the video, like the video, share the video, comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel. Follow me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. This video is not a boxing video. It's a video about my New Orleans Saints. After their last preseason game with the LA Chargers, my major concerns about the Saints going into the season was Jameis Winston going to be able to stay healthy after getting injured during the course of last season? Was losing K'Wan Alexander in the offseason, how was that going to affect and impact their defense? Those were a couple of my major concerns. And, of course, leading to the season, the Saints traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson for practically nothing to the Philadelphia Eagles. In addition to that, just other little minor things that I thought may impact and affect their defense. Of course, one other thing, too, the little not off-season, but Pro Bowl situation in Vegas with Alvin Kamara. Would he be facing suspension during the course of the season? So those are some things that kind of concern me during the course of the season. Just to kind of give you a quick summary in terms of where the Saints are now. First game of the season, the Saints struggled, but they pulled out a victory against division rival, the Atlanta Falcons. Thereafter, the following week, they played against another division rival in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was a seesaw battle until they had an issue with Tom Brady and Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans. Ended up being a melee. It seemed to get Tom Brady fired up and riled up, and the Bucs went on to win that game. And then last weekend, the Saints played against the Carolina Panthers. And the Saints offensive line and the Saints defense struggled against Carolina. I think the offensive line and the offense struggled more than the defense. So that's where we are at this point in the season. Going into the season, I was confident that Jameis Winston is a playoff caliber quarterback, but like I was saying earlier, the fact that I was hoping that the injury that he had last year, it didn't make him an injury-prone quarterback, and it seems that's where we are right now. He suffered a transverse fracture, meaning that he has a fracture on his spinal cord, not vertically, but perpendicular. And it seems to cause him some pain because he clearly he didn't play like himself last weekend. He struggled. In the past, I know he had the issues with turning the ball over, so on and so forth. However, he seemed to just him sitting behind Drew Brees, a veteran franchise quarterback, somebody with his leadership capabilities. Last year, he seemed to get away from the turnovers. However, he had some turnovers against the Bucs, but it wasn't even the turnovers last week against Carolina. He just struggled, and it was obvious that he was in pain and he didn't play to the best of his ability. So this week, the Saints play against the Minnesota Vikings in London. It should be a competitive game. I'm hoping for a Saints victory, but it seems as if the Saints going to face some more injury issues. First with Jameis Winston and his transverse fracture. He has been ruled out for the game against the Vikings. So that's first. And then $100 million Mike, a.k.a. Michael Thomas. He won't be playing in the game. He has some type of some type of toe injury. I don't know if it's turf toe or some other type of turf injury. However, he won't be playing in London either. So in place of Jameis Winston, the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, is going to get the start for Jameis Winston. The Saints receiving core is pretty deep. So, they should be able to power on without Michael Thomas. I'm looking for a competitive game. Hopefully the Saints can pull out the victory. But the Saints offensive line has struggled during the course of the year. And I know at certain points, uh, it seems as if maybe them losing Teron Armstead in the offseason, maybe the offensive line isn't as good. I don't see why his loss will be such a huge loss, even though he was clearly the best offensive lineman. He was an injury-prone player. He was often injured. We always used to talk about how outside linebacker K'Wan Alexander was often injured. However, he seemed like an Iron Man, like maybe Brett Favre in terms of not missing games compared to Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead was often injured. He was always hurt. He was always out. So I don't think that should have been as big a loss. Maybe it was because the Saints offensive line has struggled in every game they played in this year. They struggled against the Falcons, struggled against the Bucks, and struggled mightily last week against the Carolina Panthers. So we having some issues on the offensive line. And I know some people are going to be like, well, Jameis Winston doesn't get rid of the ball as quick as Drew Brees did. And I understand that might kind of factor into the equation. However, even with that being said, week one, the Falcons the Falcons defensive line looked like the second coming of the 85 Bears in terms of the amount of pressure they was able to generate on Jameis Winston. And the Falcons defense isn't that good. I'm not saying they're not a solid defense, but they looked all world against the Saints offensive line week one. So, and even this past week against Carolina, Saints offensive line struggled. I mean, I know Jameis Winston, he's struggling with the transverse fracture. But even with that being said, the Saints offensive line has just been looking terrible. On the defensive side of the ball, the Saints defense is decent, but it seems like when the offense is struggling, there's a trickle-down effect in the defense, because it was a long stretch in the game last week where the defense, was solid and decent, and it still was losing because one point early in the game, Alvin Kamara, he fumbled the ball. It led directly to a Carolina Panthers touchdown. So, I mean, the Saints on the offensive side, they're gonna need to not turn the football over. Whether it's Alvin Kamara not fumbling the ball, or whether it's Mark Ingram not fumbling the ball, they have to take care of the ball on the offensive side of football. In addition to that, seems like the Saints they're getting the red zone far too often, and they come away with field goals as opposed to coming away with touchdowns. So those are two things that's going to be big. They're going to need to come away with touchdowns instead of field goals. And they just need to keep drives going to keep their defense off the field, because it seemed like after a certain point during the course of last week's game, seems like the defense just kind of wore down. And it just kind of allowed Carolina's offense to get going. Christian McCaffrey, he had a pretty good game, in my estimation, against the Saints last week. The Carolina Panthers were winless going into the game against the Saints, and last week they came away with their first victory against the Saints. So hopefully the Saints could get it together, primarily on the offensive side of the ball. I know Andy Dalton is more of a game manager. He's not the long-term solution for the Saints at the quarterback position. But even with that being said, I'm confident that he could get the job done against the Vikings. So hopefully, the Saints offense will play better, and as a result, their defense will play better. And in particular, offensive line needs to do much better. The backs, both Ingram and Kamara, they need to not turn the ball over and give the opposing defense an opportunity to come away with easy points to stop the Saints drive. So that's pretty much it for this particular video. Again, like the video, share the video, comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, follow me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So much for this video. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal day. Peace and blessings. Catch y'all on the rebound.